because now we are live. Apparently, we're live. Hopefully you didn't catch that little cough right before we got started. We should be good. How you guys doing today on this stormy Thursday? It's Florida. It's always stormy. But, yeah, a little more than normal. Funny stuff to go over. As always, it feels like just when I think Fender can't outdo themselves, they prove me wrong. They prove me wrong. But I'll wait, make sure this is up and running. Let me know if you're in the chat. I see there's some people already in here, but always typing in lets me know that the audio quality and the video quality is acceptable. We'll say that. We'll say it's acceptable because it's not going to be top-end production. Never is. But, man, I don't know what on earth they are doing. I have a bunch of stuff pulled up because it wasn't just the guitars that you guys saw that were released. Unfortunately, the guitars that were released that were worth looking at were not released in this country for this country's market. We're going to go over some of those. We're going to compare some of the pricings. We're going to scratch our heads together and laugh at the greed of both Fender, because this is only partially on Fender in one of these instances, and also of the estates of dead people, because it's pretty gross in my book. Sounds great. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, cool. Yeah, I've been using the Apollo, and it's much better. I'll turn the gain down just a little bit, actually, on it. You don't have to apologize, man. You don't have to apologize. Whenever you're like not feeling well or you're sick or you have stuff going on, that comes first over anything, Ian. All right, so we're good. All right, let's get into this. We're going to load right into the browser. We're ready to check out some of this new stuff. Open. We're going to start here because this one really made me say you missed an opportunity. So they made a Tone Master Princeton, okay? Now you'll see I have the back here. $8.99, same old. Probably weighs 20 pounds, 15, 20 pounds, something like that. If I had to guess on it. Comes with the vibrato and the reverb on it, both digital, of course. 12 watts. I don't understand why they did that because it's digital. You don't need to limit it in that sense. But the reason I wanted to focus on this is because I feel like they are not listening. When, Fender's whole thing is Fender listened, or that's what the YouTubers say at least. If you look at the back of this, it's the exact same to the extent of there's still no effects loop, which makes no sense on an amp like this. It simply does not make any sense. I'm at a loss for words on that. You still have both of your cabinet sims. You have no option to import your own IRs. You do have an XLR out, which is, par for the course. Normal, that's fine, but I find this very, very underwhelming, and yeah, I don't have much else to say about this. At $900 for amp that runs on a quad core processor, that just, I don't know, man. Seems like a lot of money for a 12 watt solid state guitar. And our buddy here, our buddy Joe. So, first things that jump out to you. It has to be the price. This is a Mexican-made guitar, ladies and gentlemen, for $1,800. Okay? The originals were also made in Mexico. I'm not going to comment on the actual finish of this because, it's going after his specific one. I don't think it needs to be stated what I think about the actual aesthetic of this guitar, but nothing screams to me punk rock and everything that Joe Strummer stood for, so to speak, than an $1,800 Mexican-made Fender Telecaster. You get the road worn vintage hardware, which is for the Mexican guitars, a custom neck plate. It does have a 7.25 radius, which is good. I'm trying to find positives here, and custom Joe Strummer voiced pickups. I don't know. I don't know. I have no comment on that because that doesn't make any sense considering the guy. Obviously, he's not around. So be pretty difficult for him to spec out something like that. I found this guitar to be appalling for the reasons that I stated, mainly because it just seems like another cash-in. And with the Rocky that we just had, that was $2,000 and basically a reskinned Vintera, guys, I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the value here. Let me X out of that one. The only other thing that I saw, a lot of accessories, which we're not going to go over all the accessories, and then a Pro Junior SE, which, you know, I'm going to guess that means student edition, similar to Paul Reed Smith guitars, just kind of, I guess, a more slimmed down, how's that even possible, because a Pro Junior really only has 2 knobs anyways, version of it, $550. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So, before we get into the good stuff, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about in general? Because I know they also just did Jerry Garcia. Jerry Garcia didn't even play Fenders for the most part. Does there ever come across where you're like, guys, there's got to be a line somewhere here when it comes to cashing in on these people? And as I stated, you can only pin so much of it on Fender because the estates are approving this. The estates don't care. So obviously the family that's involved, I don't know. Am I nuts? Am I nuts to think that that's just so wrong? Especially the Strummer one at $1,800. It just seems so wrong because it's so anti everything the guy stood for. It sucks. It just sucks. My advice to you, if you are a big Joe Strummer fan, do what he did. Buy the cheapest Telecaster you can find that works, and then beat the crap out of it. That's what his Telecaster was. He didn't buy a great one. He didn't say it, but like he bought what he could, and he made it work. He didn't buy some pre-posered out guitar, because there's relicking and then there's that. That's just. I was just talking to my wife before this. Actually, she had some choice words about this thing. She hates relics in general, but I was saying, what if, you know, somebody came home and showed their wife their guitar and it looked like that? How much did that cost you? Like $100, $200, $1,800? That guy's sleeping in the garage. Sleeping in the garage. My wife would shoot me. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot wrong with it. Yeah, the '08 bombed, but I mean, Marcus, it's a different time. You have to think a lot of these people, the younger people, in that 14 years from 2008 when that was initially launched, a lot of that generation has money now. And a lot of that generation is into, you know, collectible things. And I feel like that's the route that a lot of these manufacturers, the big ones, are kind of taking. And by the big ones, I mean Fender and Gibson. But speaking of that, real quick, I do want to recommend to you guys, if you have not followed Aaron Short's channel, you should check it out, because he played a $10,000 Noel Gallagher that he just received, and he loves it. It sounds really good, looks really good. I could not believe that the back is basically bare wood on the neck, but I mean, at least with those, I get it, because if you wanted to buy a 355 that was like his, you're spending a magnitude more amount of money than you are. Whereas if you find a vintage Telecaster that is as beaten to shit as that Joe Strummer is, yeah, you're gonna get a much better deal. Jerry would hate the commercialism. Yeah, advertising gimmicks. Yeah, it does. But my other problem is, I wish that they would invest some of this money into the labor. Because it's not the Mexican workers' fault. They're not incapable of doing good fretwork. They're not allotted the time, because that's not what's budgeted out. Instead, we get crap like this. It's sad. Like that purple guitar is a great example of it. And the majority of Mexican guitars that I've played in the last 15 years, all great examples of it. Every once in a while, you can find a diamond because they were allowed to have time to do it right. But when the company motto is just like, get as many made as you can, is what it seems like to me, obviously. When the accountants are in charge, make as many as you can, do whatever. If they have to pay a tech after that, they've just spent $1,200 on a Mexican guitar that used to be $600 like 3 years ago. That's on them. They'll deal with it. And the community, for whatever reason, is just accepting of it. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. Telly Kingfish. I think the Kingfish Telly looks like a great guitar. Kingfish is on record saying that the Mexican Strats are awesome. Built his career early on. Well, yeah. And as I said, he probably had a tech go over it. You can make those guitars awesome. Or you could just get really lucky. I had 2 Mexican guitars that were outstanding instruments from when I got them. Now, granted, this was from a very similar period within each other. One was a Baja 60s Telecaster in a Sonic Blue. That guitar was lights out. That guitar had the Pure Vintage 58 pickups in it. Excellent. Excellent instrument. The second one, I think I bought 4 or 5 months after that, was a lacquered finished Fiesta Red Jaguar that had the Pure Vintage 65s, which were the same exact electronics that came in the American Vintage 65 at the time. The frets, those guitars played great, but those are anomalies. Those are not my majority of experience with that factory. And again, it's all down to the amount of time that they want to spend on the labor. The labor is some of the most expensive parts. So if you can cut that down on it, you can make more money on profit. And let's be serious. It's a private equity owned business. That's what this was all about. Money. I think the Dodge Challenger and Charger being brought back for that folks had them when they were younger. Yep. The cars do it. Everyone does it, man. Everyone does it. I collect great memories. I do too. That's one thing I loved about, I don't play that Jazzmaster that much. But when I look at that guitar, I see certain dings in it and chips, and I remember how they got there. And I remember getting that guitar in pristine condition. That's the cool thing about when you buy a guitar with a nitro finish that's a thin skin without like 18 layers of poly underneath, like the American originals. When they age like that, it's a thing of beauty when you do it yourself. It's cool. It really is like your guitar at that point, Granted, they're not in everybody's budget, but that's how I prefer to do it if I'm going to do something like that. And it's cool. It's really cool. And it does. It brings back memories. What about the George Harrison? Didn't the original have a piece of maple sandwiched in the middle? Which George Harrison? The Rosewood or the Rocky? I believe the Rocky did. And those George Harrison Rosewoods, I was an idiot. Let me tell you something, guys. I was an idiot. I jumped to that Jaguar. I thought the Jaguar was going to be the big money for reselling it. I was going to hold on to it. 2 problems with that guitar. First of all, I got a dog. It's not a very good instrument. The second problem was, for the same money, I could have bought the George Harrison. Those instantly sell for $1,500 more than market value was. The $2,500 initially. Instantly. They sell for $4,000. I was laughing. I saw it on Dave's Guitar Shop. I don't know what the cheapest one on Reverb is. We can have a look real quick. Suppose. That way we're not just making things up as we go along here. But if I had gambled on that, I could have gotten myself a free guitar with the profit. Oh, okay. Oh, I almost had a heart attack. I saw this one at 13.5 and I was like, what? Look at this. $6,000 and it's in 2 carts. That's not a custom shop. Lord. That one's not in any carts because it is overseas. I can tell by the pricing on it. Yeah, look at this. $6,000, $8,000, $5,000. How is that one not sold for $5,000? Shipping must be insane on it. But you guys see my point. The one at Dave's Guitar Shops, because Dave's flat prices things at $4,000. That you're doubling your money. Well, the Rockies, especially, look at who is paying $4,000 for a Mexican Vintera with a finish on it. What are you doing? It's like more people have more money than sense. I truly believe that people have more money than sense. Oh my goodness. I'll get off my soapbox. I have 2003 Jimmy Vaughn made in Mexico Strat Candy Apple Red, far above my Strat Elite. Yeah, again, but the Jimmy Vaughns, I played those for a little bit in the early 2000s as well. It's funny you say that. And those were really decent. Those were really decent. I feel like there's some models that might get a little more attention than some others in that factory. Granted, I haven't played 1,000 of them, but you know, I've played probably 6 or 7, and none of them were dogs. But I haven't played one from 2010 plus. Fender has a new George Harrison Telecaster at $28.99. Of course it is. Modern twist: an old product versus creating something new. Yeah, I mean, why would you create something new? Why would you do that if the business works in a way that you're going to be rewarded as the company for putting in, you know, minimal effort, all things considered, by just reissuing things like this, and you know it's a sure thing, you have the license to the name still because the estate's granting it to you, it's a money printer. It's safer to do that. Whereas somebody mentioned the Kingfish, perfect example. You take a gamble on something that's different. That's not a traditional Telecaster Deluxe, not a traditional finish, and it doesn't have the same name power, despite the fact that Kingfish is an exceptional guitar player. Does not have the same brand power in his name as George Harrison does, or Joe Strummer, somebody like that. So Fender do that at times to give them credit, because the Kingfish is an example of the Corey Wong. Granted, it wasn't the most original guitar. They still did it for him. You know, another guy that really deserved, in my opinion, his own signature model. But the Kingfish is a very interesting guitar. I see their I haven't seen anybody outside of like one independent person post on YouTube about that guitar at all. It's all shops and Fender themselves. That to me is a flag that it's not doing so good. And I was offered one at a pretty decent rate, and I couldn't do it. One, because it's not exactly what I want, and two, because it was a bowling ball. It weighed more than the last 2 Les Pauls I've had. Part of the appeal of a Tele is that they're light. More money than sense is accurate, I think, considering the price of a new Ford Lightning, a Ram truck. $100K plus, that's insane. We actually canceled our Maverick, our Ford Maverick. That was going to get out of control from what we initially thought we were going to pay on it. So we're not getting a truck now. Somebody else got it and, you know, spent a boatload more money than the initial price that was supposed to be, but it is what it is. We'll live with one car. I'm not going to pay myself crazy for a truck that was retailing at like $20,000. And then at the end of the loan, after all the extra fees and everything that are tacked on, you know, 50% more than that for that car. Get out of here. No. There's other reasons about the car stuff, but we don't need to touch that. The Corey Wong being smaller bodied, I think is a different twist. Yeah, just like the Nile Rodgers. Same thing. And I do like that there's like a bypass everything in the electronics to get you right to the 4th position. You're a funk player, you appreciate that. So I do appreciate that. Just wish the neck was a little more unique on it. It's just an American Ultra neck. But you do what you can. Smart business, again. Fender is opening the door for other manufacturers with their overpriced gear. Yes, they are. They absolutely are. And why wouldn't they be? Because at this point, there are 2 American-made Telecasters you could get for less than that Joe Strummer new. That's... I don't know how you can justify that at that point. I just don't get it. Unless you're really just a collector. That's the only way I can see this making sense, is if you're an actual collector. But at that point, if you're really a collector, odds are you got some money. You're going to skip the $1,800 Mexican one, and you're going to jump right up to the super expensive custom shop one. I think we talked about that a few months ago when that released. Let's see how that guy's doing. All right, window back. I love that I've figured out how to do this in OBS. Makes me feel really old. But I almost typed in Pete Thorne. Joe Strummer. Custom shop. Yeah, look at these guys. This is also pretty punk rock, right? 15K, 10K, 10K. Real bargains. But I'm just saying, if you 2 cards at $8,000. If you were truly a collector, my point is, wouldn't you skip the Mexican one and get this one? Looks like you get a bunch of other goodies with it. You're getting a much better guitar. Granted, the price is ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. But I see a little bit more value in that, at least. Yeah. I mean, guys, I'm not pinching pennies to get this thing, but oy vey. Wild world. So $8,000 is the cheapest one of those. Get out of there. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. I'd like to see Krongbid Strat and Jazz Bass added to the line. That would be pretty cool. Yes, I did get the Mazda back. Brand new engine. It's going to go forever. Fender should be embarrassed to have a 50% sale and even extend it. Well, here's the thing. We talked about this, and a lot of people said I was wrong. I said that they were overstocked. Well, I assumed, rather, that they were overstocked on the cheap stuff. The Paranormals, the Affinities, and some of the Classic 5s. The low end. I said, I'm like, they can't move this stuff. Because I saw some people already starting to do deals, like shops, rather, starting to do deals where they were included with other guitars. And that to me is like, oh, they really just want these gone. And the fact that they extended the sale, and the fact that the sale only consisted of the low end. 2 weeks before Fender does this 50% sale, they had 30% off everything that wasn't a Fender custom shop. You could have done a mod shop. You could have done an American guitar. Even a Mexican guitar. You could have gotten 30% off. You bought it directly from them. That goes to the same thing for the amps. Could have gotten a deluxe reverb, 30% off. So the fact that they hyped up this sale at 50%, and it's just all the low end, just trying their best to get rid of it. Because that's all this is. Because obviously, as we see with the Strummer, all the new accessories, the No Pro Junior, there's a bunch of new stuff. This is only the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be more of it. They got to make room for it. And the only way to make room for it is to clear out inventory that won't sell. How do you sell inventory that won't sell? You give it away for half price. And if you won't give it away for half price, if nobody's buying it, you extend it at half price. And if that doesn't work, who knows? Maybe we'll see him buy one, get one freeze on these entry-level Fender guitars and Squires. Jesus, God. Oh, hey, Thomas, how's it going? Fender's a mess. Paranormal is a disaster. Squire quality value is better than ever. Squires, the new made in Mexico, they are combining made in Mexico and USA. Why? My belief is they'll end USA except custom. That will be a travesty. That will be a travesty of the highest degree. But it won't really affect me. I got what I need for American Fenders. I'm good. But you hate to see that. Kind of goes against the whole foundation of the company. But the Paranormals, yeah, they're pretty disastrous in the fact that it will never not make me scratch my head that you could buy a Fender licensed product. It's a Squire. You could buy a Fender licensed neck where on the paperwork it says we can only guarantee this will fit a Fender or a Squire product. They will not fit the Paranormals consistently because the neck is not cut to the right size on all of them. But it'll fit a $100 GFS body that's a knockoff from China. No problems. You're right, it's a mess. Everything makes me feel old. Only my brain disagrees. Yeah, I hear you, man. My prediction is Fender USA manufacturing stops in 2024, except a custom shop made in Mexico becomes the same price as what USA used to be. It already is. Mexico price already is where America used to be. And Squires price like the old made in Mexico, it already is. $600 for the top end Squires. That's where Mexican guitars were for a long period of time. Not a flash in the pan. A lot of Mexican guitars were $600 for a long time. Now, $1,800. Okay. Dealers can't give away those Noventas. Nah, the Noventa, they didn't do well with those. They didn't do well with those. The Jazzmaster 90s, they're not selling really either. Neither are the Strats. Pitbull Audio was doing a thing. I think they were like $600. And they didn't sell out. Because at Pitbull, I know this because I've bought stuff when they do their really good pricing sales. After a few, they're gone. You're not getting them back. And people jump on deals like that fairly quickly if it's good enough. So obviously not everybody's seeing the value in that. That's a big store. People might not know it because of that name, but that's used to be just strictly known as Music Store Live. Big old warehouse in Chula, South San Diego. Fender just needs to do an American original series of all of their offsets and their chilling. What Fender needs to do with their American original series, and this will help curb the used market, is make American vintage guitars again. That's what they need to do. What do I mean by that? Make American vintage where it's actually vintage spec'd. I know it's a foreign concept to actually want a guitar that's based on a vintage guitar to have the same specs as a vintage guitar. I know it's crazy, but do that. And then for the people that want the modern spec, you have the hot rodded version like they used to have with the American vintage. You have your medium jumbo frets, 9.5-inch radius, hotter pickups. Everybody's happy. That's it. Are they going to do that? No. Of course they're not going to do that. I have an Eric Johnson Strat and a 54th anniversary reissue. The Eric Johnson Strat is one of the best production Strats they've ever made. Those are a steal, man. You get some like custom shop features on that thing that no other production Fender gets. Those are phenomenal instruments. There's one right now at Jimmy's in the tropical turquoise with the rosewood fingerboard, bound neck. I think he wants $15.99 for it, and that's if you pay with a credit card. If you pay with cash, you can get it for cheaper than that. It's tempting, not tempting enough. But if I was in the market for that kind of guitar with a 12-inch radius, I mean, maybe I'd be into it. But those are really good. If that's the case, buy an American Fender guitar right now. Don't rush out to buy anything right now, you guys. Don't rush out to buy anything right now. You only buy something, 2 reasons. I'm not going to preach to you guys. I feel like I've done that in the last week and a half when it comes to the practice and all that kind of stuff. And I have a video where I have one more video before I make the pitch for the Telecaster. And it's a pitch for something else. And it's having only one guitar, right? Because somebody who was in this chat last week, I think it was, his name is SG, but I don't associate him with SGs because he is wise and valuable to the community. Mentioned something about how he improved so much more when he sold a bunch of guitars and just committed to one. And I think there's a lot of value in that. So I'm going to kind of hit on that topic and go with my own experience of doing that because I did that for years. On multiple different occasions. I went through a phase of playing one guitar, then having a ton of guitars, selling all those guitars and going back to one guitar. Can be done. There's definitely pros and cons to it, but it's something that should be considered. But the point being, only buy something if it's exactly what you want. Like exactly what you want. The price is right. And, makes you happy, I guess. Not going to tell you not to do something. It's your money. It's not mine. Do whatever the hell you want with it. You want to spend $1,800 on a Joe Strummer? Go ahead, knock yourself out. It's your guitar, not mine. Fender USA is now the PRS S2 overpriced. I would say Fender Mexico is the PRS S2 as far as the overpriced. Because there's Mexican guitars that cost as much as the American base models, man. That's not good. That's not good. And that's not a good sign for us as consumers because it means they're going to jack the prices of the American guitars up to show for it because they have that financial way of looking about things, which makes sense because why would you have all these things, all these different lines? Like you have your entry level, your Squire, the Affinities. Then a little bit better of a guitar. Well, a lot better of a guitar in my book. You have the classic vibes. Okay? The next price point up is the Mexican-made guitars. You know, they have to have their own little thing. And the reason for you to buy the Fender Mexican guitar versus just buying a classic vibe, maybe some of that really is the logo on the headstock. Because I've played a bunch of the players and I've played some of the classic vibes. I don't know, man. I don't know. Outside of the offsets, I loathe the classic vibe offsets. I don't think they're very good guitars. But the Strats and the Tellys, not much in it. Not much in it. Fender USA has to be after that, and then the custom shop. Japan doesn't really feature into this conversation because Fender America only does special runs available for us with their guitars, such as the new Aerodynes, which are just, again, watered-down versions of the originals. It's wild. Jimmy's will never ship. Jimmy's will never ship. They want nothing to do with it. In an ideal world, his perfect sale and perfect customer is somebody who walks in that store with cash. Not a credit card. You have a credit card? Yeah, you're buying it, but you're not a fan. You pay with cash at Jimmy's? You're good. That's how old school things were supposed to work. Why doesn't G&L get any love? I genuinely think it's the headstock. I do. Because G&L quality is better than Fender Mexico. Just is. G&L's is good stuff. I just got a made in Japan Fender Mustang. It's incredible. That's amazing. Which model did you get? The 65, the 69, or 73? All a little bit different. I want a PRS 594 or DGT. Do you miss the extra volume and tone on the McCarty? No, I actually like it. I was discussing this with somebody in the comments last night, I believe. I really like having just the two controls. It simplifies things for me. It does take away a cool trick you can do, which is you can have, like, if I'm playing on the neck pickup, I can have that at full volume. Or if I want the chorus to be on the neck pickup, right? If I'm playing the middle position, I can have the treble pickup turned down a little bit because I'll have the 4 volume knobs, or the 2 volume knobs, one for each one. When I switch to the neck pickup, I get a natural boost without hitting a pedal, just by flipping the switch. And it's really cool. I like that. Obviously, it works the same way if you wanted to go to the bridge pickup. I do like that, but overall, no, I don't miss it at all, man. I'm really digging simple things at the moment. The Tone King has 2 knobs on it. It's great. The Mesa, I can't even off the top of my head. Look like 16 knobs and 6 switches. It's a cool amp. It's a great amp. Nothing against it. I like simple. All right. Let me see. We need to sell some gear. Going to try selling on Reverb. Try and sell it locally first. You'll make more money. You'd be surprised. I would always try to sell it locally first, or you could try and sell on the gear page. The problem with selling on the gear page is there's 2 problems with that. The first is you have to pay for a membership to the gear page to be able to sell there. You can't just be a member and put up a for sale listing. I think the cheapest you can do that is $15, and that'll get you a year, and you can do that. That's one way around it. Granted, you're still going to pay PayPal fees, but I would rather eat 3% than 7.7%. That's basic math. But Reverb is convenient. 31 people watching. Well, that's interesting. Thank you all for that. Well, the number here says. It does not say 31. Did you talk about the new Jackson American series? No, not yet. They're, I don't know. It's hard for me to get excited about a guitar like that because it's not in my wheelhouse. I mean, it looks all right. What are they, $2,500? Neck through, super. The whole thing is like fast guitar. If that you're kind of that's your kind of style of guitar, cool. You like playing that music, cool. I'm not gonna play funk on a guitar like that, or I'm not gonna pay the price of that to play funk on a guitar like that and rhythm stuff. It's just different strokes for different folks. That's all. Another Fender miss is the mod shop. Could you expand on why you believe that's a miss? Because recently, when we earlier I was discussing the 30% sale they had, I was starting to look at the Fender mod shop for the first time, like really, because I was like, 30%, maybe you could get something cool here. And I was a little disappointed and underwhelmed by a few things. I'd be very curious to hear you go into detail as to what you believe is a miss. I am really struggling not to try and buy any single coil guitars straight away. I got 2 guitars I really like and want to bond with them before getting something else, but have a voice in my head that I need a Tele or a Strat. The classic vibes are $399 new here. Dude. I know you like that Eastman. Not the T486. The SB59 you got. I would have never bought it. If I was you. I would have never bought it. I'm just being honest. You told me you wanted to minimize. My initial thought was okay, you have a great guitar with humbuckers. You didn't need a second guitar with humbuckers. You needed a single coil. And then you would have been done. And now you're playing the game of you're looking again. Unless you really just... There's people that just play humbuckers. You don't need to have one of every guitar, man. You don't need to. It's not going to prevent you from going to play. It's nice to have multiple different pickup configurations, body styles, and brands and stuff like that. But need? Nah. I don't think so. I got like six more things I got to list. I have sold so much. It still looks like I have a bunch here, and I just fixed up the Jag. Not fixed up, but I finished it off. Oh my God, what a guitar. What a guitar now. But yeah, just more stuff's going. The Perpetelli came because people in the Discord know the actual deal with that. And I told you guys as a hint here, hey, nothing. You would have all taken that guitar. Jackson has always had a cult following of sorts. Not many shredders. Yeah, not many shredders indeed. My 54th anniversary Strat has a chunky neck. Is it worthwhile to get another neck or skip that idea? It's not bad, but a bit chunky. I wouldn't mess with it. I just leave it as is, man. There's no point. Like, because it's an anniversary guitar. I wouldn't want to take one of those apart, personally. But it sounds like you don't hate it. You just don't love it. I don't know. Maybe it's just not the right guitar for you. The list of mods are very limited. For example, you can't pick your fret size or your radius with much viability. I wanted to build a Jaguar with a V-neck, 725 and jumbo frets. I wanted to build a Jaguar that was just seafoam green with a 7.25-inch radius. Nope. It was Mystic Seafoam Green Metallic, which very over the top finish. There was no seafoam green. I was disappointed in that. You have no selection, as you said, with the frets. It's almost no selection with pickups with the Jaguar. It was a very underwhelming experience when I started to build one of those for fun to see if I could make something I like. You also don't have the option for the matching headstock. I don't know, man. For a mod shop, I would think anything would be on the table for the right price. But maybe that's their way of saying, screw you, go to the custom shop. In my opinion, the guitarist plays the neck. The rest is along for the ride. That's why I've always been a big proponent of, if the neck is not right, I don't care about the rest of the guitar. I've gotten rid of excellent guitars that sounded amazing because I just didn't love the neck. The neck is everything. It's what you're in the most direct contact with. If it has a good neck to it, it balances well. And to me, personally, if it's not super heavy, I can flub electronics. That stuff's easy. All that stuff's an easy fix. Setup issues, but you can work on that. Fine. But you catch the right neck profile with a radius you like that just feels good to you, man. You've got it. That's what you need. They started off with more mod choices. Now it's not enough neck choices or radius choices. Yeah. Maybe they just don't want to make them as much anymore. Or maybe they're taking a loss on them. Or maybe they'll re-release it at a higher price. Maybe they'll be $2,500 soon. They even had solid rosewood necks. Yes, they did. But I think that they realized they were going to do the George Harrison, and they said no. Paul calls you and says, come by and create your own private stock on us. Oh, I love questions like this. All right, this is fun. My own private stock guitar. What would I do? I would do a semi-hollow body 594 with a trem. And what pickups would I put on that guy? I already have the... No, I would do... This is where you get me. This is where you get me. Because I already have the 5815s in the other McCarty. And that's what most of the 594s are going to come with. Maybe just 5909s. Yeah. And as far as the finish goes, either Angry Larry or Blood Orange. Those are not traditional colors I would pick for any other brand, but there's no blue in either of those colors. So I don't have to worry about them fading, losing the color. That's what I'd build. That's fun. It's like buying shoes in the Soviet Union, small or large. That's the mod shop. It's terrible. When ordering stuff from overseas, is there a maximum amount before having to pay U.S. import fees? $800. From Japan, it is $800. If you spend any, if the value of the instrument that you're buying is under $800, regardless of the shipping added on top of it, you will not pay a duty. Once the product itself is worth $800 or more, you will pay the import duty on top of that. Keep that in mind. Unless the place that you're buying it from does not declare full value of it, that might seem like it's a good thing for you. It could be if there's no problems with how it gets to you. If you need to make an insurance claim and then all of a sudden a guitar was mislabeled value-wise, that's a lot of problems because then you have to explain to customs, or the shop that shipped it has to explain to customs why they fudged the value, or the shop's going to have to try and compensate you another way from overseas, which can introduce a lot of other problems, not just currency translation problems, but language translation problems as well. It's not a fun time. So in the best case scenario, I mean, I'd rather pay the duty. No, that's not what you asked, but just a hypothetical, because I know a lot of places do that. And beware if you do buy from eBay, a lot of those people that are third party, that are not the actual shops, that will go to the shop and buy it and ship it to you independent of themselves, they will do that a lot. You won't pay an import duty on a lot of those. Just be careful. Fender should make medium jumbo on everything. I don't know of a single guitar player that prefers narrow tall or over medium jumbo. Now you do. Wally in the box. Hey, bro. How's it going, Wally? Hope you're doing good today. What about Tolman import fees? Same thing applies. If you don't hit $800, you're good. You're good. There's a lot of products, man. Not just with guitar. I haven't made a video on this because, I don't know, it doesn't seem like something many of you would be interested in, and it's kind of an older piece of gear, and I've had it before. I rebought an Apollo, a Universal Audio Apollo interface, and I was looking at other interfaces. I considered one of the Audience, the new MK2 ID44s. I'm going to show you a few things here. Let's go back to the web browser. So, if you want to buy that MK2, okay, if you want to buy this in America, I want you to look at this. $699 free shipping, but you're paying tax on top of that. So, almost $800, right? Now, if we go to Tolman, whatever, ID44. All right. You will not pay tax on that because VAT is already included. All you're paying is the shipping. You're going to save over $250 by buying it from Tolman for the same exact interface. Now, the problem becomes, I really wanted an Apollo. Now, the Quad Heritage, $1169, that's great. I'm going to have to pay an import duty on that because it's over $800. The value of that goes away a little bit. But for example here, this is the Apollo X4 1590. Let's go. Oh, Jesus, this abomination. Get away from me. Apollo X4. What does that cost in America? Okay, so it actually went down a little bit. 1900 plus tax. You might actually still end up ahead here buying it from Thomann and paying to import, but it's not that big of a thing here. Really, it's the lower end stuff. Like this is such a good example of it. The stuff, if you could save $250, why wouldn't you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to do that? You're getting the same product. You're going to get the same support from Audient. They're not going to care. It's a USB connection. It doesn't matter. Like it's going to work. There's not any connectivity issues. You're going to be fine. I found that very interesting. And it was just something I wanted to bring up because, like I said, I was shopping around for interfaces before the inevitable return to the Apollo. Because it's the best interface for a reason at the price point. It just works. It's amazing. Yeah. Isn't that strange? Makes you really wonder about all this markup. And then when you get a deal from a place like Sweetwater, maybe, they're like, oh, yeah, we'll tell you what, we'll hook you up. Instead of $700 plus tax, you're a good customer. We'll give it to you for $599. Because if Thomann is selling it for $475, they're still making a profit at $475. How much profit is Sweetwater making at $699? And it's not just Sweetwater. Anybody in America that sells it. That's just the MSRP in this country. Same discussion we had about Marshall amps, guys. It's wild. It's absolutely wild to me. I don't know. But there was one other guitar I wanted to show you guys by basis of comparison here. And I had this pulled up. We were talking about the Mexican guitars and how terrible the value was on that Joe Strummer. I'm going to show you what Japan gets that we don't get. Let's go back to the browser. So, as you can see on the left, we have our Strummer. 231,000 yen. That doesn't really matter to you guys because you've just seen that it's $1,800 US. This was just released for less. Now, I'm going to lie. Yeah, it's going to Japan. If I clicked USA there, it would have kicked me out of the website. So this guitar has a thin-skin nitro finish on it. Real deal. Unique color. Nowhere. I think it's a satin nitro neck finish. So no poly anywhere on this guitar. Paradise blue. 7.25 radius on it. So vintage spec after his old Jaguar. The pure vintage 65. So it's the high end. Hardware. Pots. The pickups are custom voiced after him. You get the 65 transition logo on it. This guitar is less than a Joe Strummer. Not only is this guitar less, I would bet the farm out of the box this is a much better instrument. As far as build quality and as far as playability goes, it's not going to be close. It's not even going to be close. Yeah, and it's not a basswood body. Some people, it's Japanese. It must be basswood. No, it's alder. It's nitro. It's designed after his own 65 that he's played for years and decades at this point. A bone nut. None of this synthetic stuff. Narrow, tall frets. What do you know? They actually built a vintage guitar. Isn't this wild? How Fender Japan builds a better American vintage style guitar than Fender America does. At least they do it. Fender America doesn't build one. Yeah, and again, yeah, all the hardware is from the pure vintage line. So you're getting the top of the line stuff. This guitar has zero compromise on it. Zero. The only thing you could maybe argue is that it has the custom hand-wired pickups in it. But I've seen pictures of the pickups, and they're cloth-braided wires, so they're not that cheap wire that you see on some other pickups. So it looks legitimate, man. This guitar, which will age with you over years like fine wine, like an old American thin skin when they used to do those, this is less than a Joe Strummer. What are you doing? Why can't we have this in America? Why can't we have this in America? No, of course we can't have this because we can't have nice things. We get this. We get this abomination. See this though real quick, just to click on it. Not my thing, but I did find it interesting to see a Stratocaster with a bound body on it. You don't see that every day. You definitely don't see that every day. So, you want to talk about doing something a little bit different? At least Fender Japan does, man. That's unique. Even if you don't love it. Look, I don't love this guitar. But they're trying. It's got some cool stuff to it. I love a bound body. I don't know if it's double bound, actually. It can't be. Yeah, no, it's not. Single bound. Top bound only. Roasted maple. That's cool. I think it only comes in the one finish. Yep. Sold only at Fender online shop and Fender shop in Mikigaki. All right. Same thing. So you got alder body, poly finish. Yeah. Satin poly neck. A Shawbucker, which is the same ones that come in the American Pro 2s. Hybrid 2, custom voiced single coil. I hate these generic terms. But yeah. Not as dear as this Takashi Kato. That is just the pick of the absolute litter. And I can see another hideous guitar poking its head out. 275,000 yen gets you the Rocky, which is a Vintera with a paint job. Paint job to look like a clown. If you actually cared about guitar and you're not collecting, and if you're collecting, that's fine. Why on earth would you buy this for more money than this? Why? Why? Why would you do that? Somebody can explain it to me. I'd love to hear it. Unless you're genuinely just in it to flip them. Yeah, this is a really cool guitar too. The Kunife's Jazz Masters. And just be aware, I'm going to show you what these sell for, okay? So when you see places like Mike and Mike's listing these guitars for $3,000, $3,500, you can laugh in their face, all right? Quality instrument, don't get me wrong. 198,000 yen. I think that comes out to, if I had to guess, 1,600? What was the price again? Ah! Oh my God, it tanked even further. 1,300. So when you see this guitar, because you will see this guitar on Reverb, I guarantee it. When you see this guitar on Reverb for $3,000 plus, know how much it actually costs. Okay, guys? I can only lead a horse to water. I can't make you drink it. The Takashi Kato, that must be the one that's closer to 1,500, 1,600. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Phew. And again, this is not my cup of tea. At least it's different. At least Fender Japan is trying something here. That is a very gaudy instrument. My wife would love that guitar. She loves white and gold. But hey, it's something. They're doing something different. Taking a chance. Oh, man. But yeah. And then the Scandal guitars. I love that band. Those girls are great. All right. Get out of here. Stop my old man rants. See what's going on here. All right. Love that color. Dude, that is a primo color. Paradise Blue. They took, because his original 65 was a Lake Placid blue. They had that to shape the neck perfectly to match his 65. And then they actually matched the color of his faded Lake Placid blue to create the new color of Paradise Blue. That's so cool. That's so cool. And instead of relicking it all up the way that his is now, he insisted he wanted people to go on their own journey with it and have it age their own way. Because he could have done a Warren series. If you could see what his guitar looked like, oh my goodness gracious. He's beating the shit. Takashi Kato Driftwood Strat. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Stop it. Stop it at once. Stratocaster. I'm just going to look real quick, see if I can find a picture of it before too long. If I can't, I'm just going to scratch this. No, I can't. I'll have to find a live performance. But if you look up Tokyo Ska Orchestra and you see him playing a Lake Placid blues scrap, the top of it is basically bare wood. It is beating the crap. And the reason why it wore so much at the top of the guitar above the pickguard is because he does so much reggae and that kind of music, and ska, obviously. So his technique and the fact that he plays the guitar kind of bent towards his body and not totally straight, very similar to me. That's why it aged that way. I like the Kingfish too. You should do this for cars. I hate to see how much you would save. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not shopping for cars. What about the new Aerodynes? The new Aerodynes are just slightly skimmed down versions of the old Aerodynes, man. Just different color finishes. That's it. Not bad. Very overpriced for what they are. I could all day right now. I could get an Aerodyne strap for $550, $6. One of the blue ones, the red ones, or the black ones from Japan. Maybe even a white one if I was lucky. Factor in shipping on top of that because you won't have to pay an import duty, as we just learned, because they're under $800 for the value of the guitar. Yeah, you'd be $800 maybe total to have one of those things. And that's shopping at a big box. That's not shopping at anywhere really exclusive. I'm just going to look to see why does this keep doing this to me? I'll see if Ishibashi is in his stock. Aerodyne. Just so you guys can see. Okay, there you have it. Look at this. Oh, man. Okay, look at that price, guys. $462. This is made in Japan. Stop it. Why does it keep loading up my own stream? Like I'm not doing anything. You guys are watching me. So stupid. But yeah, so you got your matching headstock. Your Epiphone gig bag, that's hilarious. Well, the guitar looks clean, man. It's 2013, weighs nothing. There you go. Why would I spend $1,000 more than that on a modern one? Telling you, sometimes it's way better to just do a little homework, look around used. You get better stuff. But yeah, the Paradise Blue original guitar is heavily worn. Oh, it's beaten to hell. He calls it the driftwood. It is that guitar is destroyed, but naturally destroyed. I mean, it's an original 1965 that he has played and gigged around the world countless times. So it's got an honest play wear on it. So hey, it's cool with me. But unless you guys have anything you'd like to chime in on here, I think I'm going to end this for today. My kid just started taking the bus to school. Home from school, rather. And they won't drop her off right in front of our house or even down the street. I still got to walk like 7 blocks to the bus stop. It kind of annoys me because she's in kindergarten. You would think that they would do a little bit more for that. I digress. So, if we've learned nothing today, we've learned that the Mexican guitars are severely overpriced for what you get. And then if you look at the Fender Japan guitars, look what you get. You know what, though? Real quick, I do want to see one more thing. Because I don't shop for a lot of Mexican guitars new. Oh my god, it keeps doing this thing where it brings up my own YouTube video every single time. Jazzmaster. Okay, here, look, guys, real quick. A Vintera Modified is $12.99. Stop it! My god, what is wrong with this thing today? This is $12.99. New. You guys just saw that super rare to this country Q-Knife Jazzmaster from Japan with block inlays, a rosewood fingerboard on it, real deal hardware, no corners cut compared to this thing. For what, $70 more? I don't understand the market for Mexican guitars. It has to just be that people don't know the Japanese ones exist, or they're happy giving Mike and Mike money so that they can laugh their way onto a private island at this point, because with the way that they overpriced their Japanese guitars, I don't think they're going to be selling too many more years before they can buy their own private island. That's unbelievable. But I love you guys. Thanks for checking it out. Really happy. Yeah, there's a lot of people in here today. Feel free, if you're just one of these lurkers, you can comment. You can talk. Next week, do the same thing. Do it every Thursday, 12 o'clock. Till then, hope you have a great rest of your day.